This episode of Mob Psycho 100 was pretty freaking lit, not gonna lie. Okay, I just went there. All jokes aside, though, everything was going fine. Like, the entirety of this episode was happy-go-lucky. It was fun. It showed Mob's progression as a character. He was finally being able to build up stamina, compete in, the race, and he was able to get far to where he actually completed it. Yes, he passed out, but he still was able to accomplish a big feat, and it was a very big move for Mob. I mean, you have it to where Dimple throughout the episode, he was just absolutely shocked by Mob's determination and just literally how much he has changed. And then you seeing how Regan, he is like, holy crap, Mob's really going in, trying to train and all that, trying to get this done. I mean, it was just a very wholesome episode. Like, Mob was having a good time. He was struggling, yes, and he got hurt, fell down, but overall, he was doing his absolute best to be able to get the girl he loves to notice him, for he could confess. And like I said, it was a great episode. Like, you were just smiling, you're like, this is amazing. It's just such a different change of, like, feeling compared to what the previous episodes were about. For instance, seeing what Regan was going through with a downward spiral of his emotions and how everything that happened to him, it got worse and worse until, Mob stepped in. But then the ending happens, which I think is the biggest, change, twist to this episode that surprised me. Let's look at it for a second, okay? When you saw the door knock, or when you heard it, and you saw, Mob's brother answer the door, I think many of us could agree, we probably expected the girl that Mob likes to be at the door. That's what I expected, because if you look at the preview for last week's episode, like when last week's episode aired and had a preview for this episode, it was basically showing us that there was going to be a whole confession scene, and that Mob was actually going to legit confess to the girl that he wants, and I was like, okay, so that's probably going to be the girl at the end. For instance, when the knock on the door happened, I'm like, that's what's going on here. But then, we see a completely different individual, someone that Mob's brother has encountered in the past, and it's very vicious, very dangerous, someone I believe is a part of Claw, and it's terrifying, because as soon as it happens, you're like, oh no, you don't really think, like death or anything. Let's just be real here, most of us don't expect that, because you just don't expect it from this series, to go that far, maybe to kill off Mob's family. But then the final scene happened. When Mob walked through the building, he sees his house on fire, and he's constantly reassuring himself. Like, his stress level went up to 91, 92%, and he's constantly reassuring himself. He's like, Dad, he may be carefree and all that. He may seem like he might not be that intelligent, but overall, he can get things done. When he puts his mind to it, he gets things done, and he was there, he took the day off, so he would be able to help out, his wife and, Mob's brother if anything happened. So he's like, okay, Dad's here, everything will be a-okay. He's responsible, he will get things done. His mom was there, he's like, yeah, my mom's carefree and all that, but regardless, so she is there, and my father would be there to make sure to watch. My brother's there, he's very intelligent too, so everything is a-okay. And he was constantly kind of reassuring himself as he was looking through the house, he couldn't find anybody. He was like, okay, they most likely got out, they're fine and all that, that's why. He's like, a house may be burning down, it's stressful, it's awful and all that, but it can be rebuilt. At the very least, we still had the people left alive. That's kind of what Mob was trying to say. A building can be rebuilt, but the people you lose, you can never get that back. And so he was just happy that he wasn't finding anyone. He was constantly reassuring. Then, when he got to the doorway at the end, and he opened it up, and you hear Dimple, it's probably the moment that really made it. It wasn't just the art and animation, but it was Dimple's voice actor that really nailed the scene. When Dimple quickly says, Shigio, close your eyes. Don't look. Close your eyes. And, the way he said it was something that you don't really expect from Dimple. Because Dimple, as a character, we know he's kind of been trying to use Mob for a long time now. Trying to kind of control Mob from the background. We know this. But his character has taken a radical shift. He is changing as an individual. He isn't necessarily an evil spirit anymore. And seeing his recent interactions with Mob throughout this episode, last episode, this whole Regan stuff, he has become a better guy. And that moment when he's like, Shigio, close your eyes, it hits you like, whoa, Dimple must be real serious for him to say something like this to Mob. And when Mob looks down and you just see the charred bodies, and you're like, oh my god. And the reaction on Mob, how he legit just broke. Like, you just see his stress meter go to 100%, go over, it goes to 120, and it just completely shatters. It goes mystery, 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 percent, and all that. And you just see his face literally look like death itself. Like, you saw his skull face, like, pop up and all that. It's truly terrifying, and I feel so bad for Mob because I really don't know how to take that final scene. I mean, there's just so many things I can question right now. Okay, so let's look at all the different ways the story can go. Let's go on a limb here and say what Mob found at the end of this episode was his family. I'm willing to bet if it is his family, his brother at the very least is going to be alive. And let me explain. His parents' deaths would be very shocking. It'd be very powerful for Mob's character development and the story in general. But the reason why I don't think Mob's brother would ever be killed off is because he's too vital and too big of a piece for Mob's character that he's had side by side with him since the very beginning, kind of what made him change a little bit about his powers. So I don't think, Mob's brother is dead. Even if that is Mob's family, I think he just got captured and dragged off because the dude has a grudge or a bone to pick with, Mob's brother. So overall, I think Mob's brother is fine. But when it comes to the parents, they're free game. Like, they're up in the air to what really happened to them. But let's just go and let that potentially happen. But there's another possibility. There's another possibility that all three of them died. And if that is the case, and this series is really dark, and one's going down a really dark path that I honestly did not expect from this story, and I don't even know where to begin if that really is the direction the story goes. So I'm just going to move on to the next possible outcome. So another outcome is that the people there in the room isn't necessarily anyone related with Mob's family. It could just be a bunch of individuals to really anger Mob, set him over the edge to be able to go on a rampage and destroying everything around him. That could be another possibility, and it would make sense as well, because Mob at that state sometimes can't really control himself if he truly is angry, and this is probably the angriest we really have ever seen Mob. Like, this is on a whole other level, because he truly believes, even if they are not dead, he truly believes in that moment that his parents just died, and his brother. So, he's gonna go all in. And it could be just a complete setup, fake bodies or whatever, or it can just be, actual other family or something that was thrown in there just to stir up Mob. But regardless, Mob is in a really dark place right now. And it's sad because he's been progressing so much as a character, and this is kind of like a continuation to the Mogami arc. If you remember a few episodes back before Regan and all that, Mogami, he basically said one day Mob is going to probably confront something that he had to confront. The horrors of humanity and how, his life will be turned upside down. And he's like, I'll be watching over you to see what your decision or outcome, comes to. Like, what you decided on. And now seeing this, it's basically a continuation of that Mob, he might try to go down the Mogami path. Really taking out individuals, people that do harm to other people. So I'm curious about that, if this is what it's opening the door up for. But, wow, Mob, his smile, his happiness, it was not protected. Like, let's just be straight up with each other. The man was broken at the end, and I feel so bad for him because he's went through so much. He's finally made so much effort to where he's at, and it's gonna pretty much all come undone thanks to what just happened to him. He needs some help right now, and I think the only one that might be able to talk him through this would be someone like Dimple and maybe someone like Regan, but who really knows? I mean, it might be too much for them too, because he truly believes his parents are dead. Even if they are dead or not, he believes that, and there's no coming back from that, for at least the time being, until he finally has his emotional outburst. But anything else really left to comment on? I guess let's talk about where this arc is going to go now. So now that Mob is probably breaking down as an individual, will he harm random people? That's the question, because we know how powerful Mob can be. Like, the man, he has an insane amount of power. He could probably level an entire city like it's nothing because of how powerful he is. And I wonder with his rage, his outburst, if he might just have an outburst of psychic energy and completely just destroy the buildings around him and harm a lot of people, which would give him a wake-up call that, he's just like the people that harmed his family. I mean, I'm kind of curious about that. If something like that will happen, if he will have an emotional outburst to hurt people, which in turn will put him back to, square one, like how he was at the beginning of the series when he was afraid of his powers and he didn't want to hurt people. I wonder if that might happen, reset him completely, which would be cool for the story, actually. Now talking about some lighter things, because I don't think many want me just to focus on the dark aspects of the episode. Some good moments of this episode that's really wholesome is that Regan, he straight up really wanted to help out Mob. Like, Mob is sitting there running the last stretch of the match, and Regan pops up out of nowhere, and he starts to jog. He's like in the full gear and everything, jogging by Mob, trying to give him some support. You know what, Regan, you're a good man for that. You're doing a good job being able to support my boy Mob like that, while he's trying to put in the effort to, you know, run and make it across the finish line. One day Mob may be able to do that, who really knows, but he's got a lot of psychological problems he's got to deal with first. But I think I want to end it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's episode of Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. I am very curious to see what everybody thinks. And, you know, I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Please hit the bell icon down below, because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified for whenever a video is uploaded, please hit that bell icon down below. And even if you don't do it for me, at the very least do it for the YouTubers you care about, because it does help us out a lot. And with that, I love you guys. Chibi out.